Masauko, I think as a start, explain to people where you at in the world, man.
Well, right now I'm living in Costa Rica. We've been on lockdown for a couple weeks, so we're a little bit more adjusted to it than most people because it's been going on for a minute. And this place has a couple hundred folks have coronavirus here, but they've managed to contain it really well. They've created actual centers for coronavirus medical issues, meaning that people don't go to the normal hospitals. If you're dealing with coronavirus, they've created actually a specific place for you to go to deal with it. So they've actually been able to keep the numbers quite low. And it's a country that's very spread out. The weather right now is warm. Some days like 80 degrees, like it's warm. The 20s will, I guess, be the 20s in South Africa. And so I feel like we're not experiencing this in as heavy a way as some people living where it's actually really cold or, living on top of each other.
We're about to get into winter right now, and there's a major concern about how that will affect everything. But most importantly, man, how are you doing, and how's your spirit, and how's the family spirit?
Man, it's interesting. Last month, my wife got me into meditation, just randomly. She was like, try this meditation with me. And it was a meditation on abundance. And I've always, as an artist, one of the things we battle with consistently is our relationship to finances, Right. And when we're going to call for them and when we're going to reject them and putting value on what we do. And oddly enough, in one of the meditations, they asked us to draw a picture of what abundance looked like to me, And what I ended up drawing was simply a picture of I drew a picture of a bird in a tree. Right. And it was sitting there in its nest by itself. And the nest was sitting perfectly on top of a baobab tree with nothing else around. The bird wasn't flying. The bird was just sitting there. And then within a month, we were in isolation and lockdown, and we couldn't move. And it was like, wow, what becomes abundance in this situation is just, I'm lucky. I have my family here, We're here
the nest,
together.
The security.
That's it. We're safe. Everybody's home. I'm safe. And so for me, it's not too different for me, right? I'm a guy who works out of a studio in my house. I do a lot of my work at home and send it off to people in different spaces. My wife does a lot of her teaching online. So it hasn't been as much of a shock as I know it has been to others of our friends. I'm doing fine with it, but I'd already started an internal process. The cutting of my dreads had already happened. That was spiritual. Something told me change. I needed to be prepared for change, And then all of a sudden, the world got rocked,
And also while you might be safe, while you might be within that abundance that you manifested, I know you're also a spiritual dude where you're not detached from the world and you're not detached from what people are living and the reality of what a lockdown like this across the world means for many people, which then, we were talking offline before we started recording about how much of an effect this has on one's spirit.
Yes.
And if you're not fortunate enough to be tapped into, whether it's yoga or meditation or whatnot, then there should be another way in which you can center your spirit. Otherwise, you're not going to be okay.
No doubt. I mean, I think it's a time for like very honest, emotional soul searching. Like the song that came to me as I was going through this process a month ago, a song came to me, and the song was called "The Whole World Crying." And the lyrics were, there was a scream I thought it came from down the road, but it was me. I was the whole world crying. So that's what came, and then the chorus was, bless everybody's heart. Life is tough, so much tougher than we thought. I feel the whole world crying, you and me, you and I tied together by the times. So I feel like each one of us, irregardless, is going to carry the weight of what this means for all of us. And tears will be important medicine. Like, you really have to let something out on a consistent basis, because it's overwhelming. And if one gets into the space where it's like, I'm going to try to, it is not time to be for physical strength. It's time for spiritual strength. And for men, physical strength often includes the part of it that's weightlifting and getting your body right and so forth. But there's another thing being called upon us, which is spiritual strength, which is the ability to look at ourselves and go, yo, this is overwhelming. I need to weep.
Yeah, but you know what? While I agree, we know that we struggle, especially as Black men, to cry, to release. I mean, what you're asking of me, listen, man, I don't have time for that because I gotta eat. I gotta hustle.
Oh, yeah.
I gotta make a plan. So you telling me that I need to give into the pain that I feel, which would easily leave me paralyzed from that crying. I don't have time for shit like that, I need to hustle.
I feel that too. I don't think there's any one specific solution to any of it. There's no cure-all. I think that one needs to work their ass off, and they also need to cry sometimes. I don't think either one of them there's no specific right. It just depends on where one is at in the process. I imagine if we're home every day, there's going to be cycles, right? There's going to be that need to weep it out sometimes. There's going to be that need to say, hey, shake it off and get to work. There's going to be a whole regiment of different battles and successes with oneself.
But there
will be a one-self duel.
Yeah. What role does music play? I mean, you're a musician, you're an artist, and anybody who knows your music as an individual and as, from Black Sunshine, there's a lot of spirit, there's a lot of truth, there's a lot of realness there. And so what role does music play at this time? And is there even a certain type of music that we should be tapping into?
I can only speak for myself. I'm writing every day, every second, all the time at this point. There's so many different songs going through my head right now. There's a rhyme I'm writing right now called Stationary. And it goes like this. This is the chorus of it. I haven't written the verses yet, but it says, now it seems we're all stationary, waiting for God to write the story. How the people move on, is it pain or glory? Depends if it's a metaphor or allegory, because it may be short, it's probably long. This book of life goes on and on. This chapter must be titled strong, or the whole library may end up gone. It seems we're all stationary, right? And so, as I say stationary there, I mean both that and which you write on, right? Because we write on stationary, yet at the same time, stationary means we can't move.
Yeah.
So
we stuck.
Exactly. So I'm processing this all through music. It's the best means I have to kind of find beauty in it, because to me, art can make any situation beautiful. For me, that's what it does. It continually gives me a filter which I can take ugly or anything and make something through which I can see a mirror of beauty in my own spirit. And that's my way of processing. I think if you can't make art, then it's time to actually go pull out the things that give you deep peace. It's time to, reinvest go back and listen to that Natural Mystic by Bob Marley. It's going to sound a lot different to you right now. You know,
Yeah.
many more will have to suffer. Many more will have to die. Can't tell no lie. All of that's going to start sounding, it'll be a new song to you right now.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but it'll be a friend. It'll be a friend. It'll be a spiritual friend, because it's like I'm feeling all that, and Bob is putting it into words. You know what I mean? And driving it through melody and spirit.
I'm wondering if at all we are seeing, or should be seeing, a shift in how we tap into ourselves through the music that we consume, right? Because coming back to being stationary, there was a time when we were not. There was a time when there was space and ability to move and dance and do whatever it is, in a club, at an event, wherever it is. But now we are stationary, where the rhythm that we move to is different. And you know, the rhythm of the country, the rhythm of the community, the rhythm of the family is very, very different. It's slowed down. It's if you're fortunate enough, introspective. And does that in any way shift which part of your musicality and your spirit you tap into?
Well, I'll tell you this, it's odd for me in terms of writing. My natural energy is moving towards writing rhymes, which is really weird because I feel like it's actually very much time for acoustic music, you know? So I'm kind of trying to blend them. I'm writing acoustic stuff where I tend towards rhyming because there's so much to say, but at the same time, the acoustic guitar is such an instrument. It sits on your body. It's made of wood. You know what I mean? It looks like a body. It gives you a closeness in everything that you do. So yet and still, rhyming gives you this freedom where it's like you can kind of get so much out at the same time. You know what I mean? So like all of these different mediums are coming to me. My daughter's drawing a lot. She's drawing a whole lot right now, which is not something she used to do a lot. So I think there is definitely a shift. I think the biggest shift, though, is the notion that it's a really hard time to write fake shit. It's really hard time.
Yeah.
Whatever you're writing, it's going to be hard to complete unless the truth of it distracts you enough from the crap around you to wrestle with you and make you want to finish it. So I think the I'm too sexy for my pants kind of music right now, there's just no one, it's very hard to go, I'm going to make a song just because I want it to be sexy in the club or whatever it is. Your brain won't get all the way through that without worrying if grandma is safe in her house, or, you know what I mean? So yeah, I think there's going to be a shift towards a more kind of honest dialogue in each person with themselves. Somebody will express that through EDM. Someone will express that through hip hop. Someone will express it through acoustic music. But I definitely think if your inner dialogue is not strong, if you're not having a truthful relationship with yourself in the process of that creation, that thing is not going to get born. It's gonna die in the womb of creation before it ever gets born.